Welcome to the sixth show in our series of touring Texas songwriters, with our host, the long, tall Texan, Mr. Bruno Michel. Today's show features critically acclaimed singer-songwriter Tish Hinojosa and is brought to you by the Barrel Brewing Company and the citizens of historic Salado, Texas. Tish Hinojosa was recorded live in front of a studio audience for broadcast on Country Radio Switzerland. We are proud to present Tish Hinojosa.
All right, so welcome to two guys you already met and heard for a while, and then Tish Hinojosa. We do a little time traveling here. So pretty much to the day, not quite, but pretty much to the day 25 years ago, I saw this young lady in Switzerland when she played one of the then famous songwriter festivals, and it was absolutely amazing. And there were a ton of other Texans on that lineup, like Holly Dunn played at the same time that Tish did. Mm-hmm. And we had the Sir Douglas Quintet on Friday, so you can imagine what kind of party it was. Now, Tish, to this day, it's not even worthwhile trying to explain how good and famous she is, because everybody, I assume, in this room knows her. And if not, you will definitely know her after this hour.
Well, I hope so.
So I'm really pleased to have you here. Appreciate it very much. And let's start with the first song.
Well, thank you. We have a new record. It's called West. Yep. And how about we just start off with the title song?
Sure. Hold on.
Actually, let's not. Is it okay that I do something else?
How long have we been doing this?
Okay. No, I just wanted it's a Southwestern flavored record, and my son and I have written a few songs together. And it's funny because I used to travel. Actually, my son Adam was a toddler back in those days of Fruitigan Festival.
I Can Be the Wind.
I Can Be the Wind.
He's got to change. It's okay.
So I'm happy to introduce some of his material. My last record that I did in 2015 also had one of his songs, and this one's called "I Can Be the Wind." Ready?
1, 2, 3, 4.
I have seen the highway through my windshield. I have seen the farmer working in his field. I can be a windmill standing alone. I can be the wind that carries you home. Carries you home. I have felt the rhythm underneath the train. I have felt the rainstorm washing me clean. I can be a fence post standing alone. I can be the wind that carries you home. Carries you home. I can be the moonlight shining on the plain. I can be the voice calming your pain. I can be the river rolling around the stones. I can be the wind that carries you home. I can be the wind that carries you home. Carries you home. I can be the moonlight shining on the plain. I can be the voice calming your pain. I can be the river rolling around the stones. I can be the wind that carries you home. I can be the wind that carries you home. Carries you home. I believe in heaven on a starry night. I will be the blanket holding you tight. I can be your beacon standing alone. can be the wind that carries you home, carries you home. Thank you. Thank you very much.
It is no wonder that her son is writing songs, because Tish comes from a family of 13 kids, and this was a musical family. Now the question is, did any more songwriters evolve except you from that family?
I believe I'm really the only songwriter that my older sisters played music, piano lessons and singing. Opera is kind of famous in our family. My older sister sang opera, and now my nephew, her son, is a really wonderful tenor. But when it comes to like folk playing and country and singer-songwriter stuff, I think I'm it. I'm the one. Yep. It took them 13 tries, but here,
and
they finally got it right.
We are really glad it worked. Okay. So your 1992 album, Culture Swing, was won actually the Indie Folk Album of the Year back then. What do these awards mean to you at all?
Well, I think with that particular, I mean, it was wonderful to be recognized, and especially the independent part. I like that, because Culture Swing really was quite an independent record that had taken a few turns before it even became the record on Rounder Records. It was going to be released on A&M Records before that, and then that all kind of fell apart. So it had quite a journey to becoming that independent record. So I was very happy. It just gives me a really good connection with the kind of audience I like to have too.
Mm-hmm. Do awards these days mean the same like they did back then? I mean, that's almost like 25, 6, 7 years ago.
Well, I wouldn't mind having more of them. That wouldn't be bad.
All right. Well, let's play another one, I
Well,
guess.
yeah. Now that I'm here, let's do West. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say another thing, then I just forgot. Oh, I guess I should introduce to our radio audience that I have with me playing wonderful music with me for many, many years. I'm sure we'll talk about that throughout the set here, but Mr. Marvin Dykhuis on guitar.
Mm-hmm. Hello.
And Mr. Chip Dolan on the piano and the accordion.
And if you look real close, you can see them on the radio.
That's right. There we go. Here's a song called West. West of the mountains by Tucson, hundreds of miles from my home, time stretches long as the highway before me. I'm chasing the sunset alone, far from the dreams that I cherished, washed from the shores of a cold, distant town. Asphalt beneath my wheels spinning, my heart is a drifter out here on the run. Heavenly blue high above, desert wind whispers of love, scent of a rainstorm, I taste on my tongue. No horse and no saddle, no happy ever after, into the sun. whispers of love. Scent of a rainstorm, a taste on my tongue. No horse and no saddle, no happy ever after. Into the sunset I'm gone. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Great. Now, you sang way before you wrote your own songs, but can you still remember the first song that you wrote?
Yes, I do. It was really simple. It was the Kerrville Folk Festival in Kerrville, Texas, of course, and it was 1979. The festival started in 72, and I was still in high school at that time, and I just couldn't wait to. I just wanted to go play at this festival. But when I met the director of the festival, when he came to check me out, because he had heard about me and he came to see where I was playing. By this time, I was in college, going to community college in San Antonio, and. I said I was so thrilled that he came to see me, and I thought, wow, he's like God. It's like Rod Kennedy came to hear me play, and then he said, well, I'd love to have you on the festival, but it's a songwriter festival, so you're going to have to write some songs. So I said, whoop, okay. Anyway, so I wrote 2 songs, and I entered them in the Kerrville New Folk, folk contest, and I was one of the. Actually, they picked 2 winners that year. It was John Imms and myself were the 2 that year, in 1979. So anyway, that's where it started. And it was really. Actually, it appears on. Kerrville would put out an album of every festival year. Mm-hmm. So the 1980 festival, which was the first time I played the main stage, was this little song. I'll just play a little tidbit of it because.
Play the whole song if you like.
Nah, no. Okay, it's called Twilight Serenade. Let's say something in. The moon shines long and lazy in the sky. Crimson colored castles floating by. The evening breeze reminds me it's the ending of the day. Listen to my twilight serenade. Chorus. Serenade you and me. Serenade, perfect harmony. Won't you listen to my twilight serenade? Then there's another verse, and I can't remember the second verse. That's my little song. It was quite an amazing thing because I didn't really plan on being a songwriter. I was just wanting to, be the next Baez or Ronstadt, and songwriting took. But it was such a great door that opened with that. So a lot more opportunities came with me as being a singer-songwriter, as just a singer.
Right. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you just listened to about half a century of songwriting. Yeah. Because that song was almost 50 years ago.
Well, hey, I'm not that old. I'm not that old. Excuse me.
You're actually...
No, that was 1979. I was 21, 22, something like that at that point. Yeah.
That's 40 years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
40.
Oh, well, okay. But not 50.
You and I were born in the same year, but I don't say which one.
Oh, okay. We belong to that club.
Now, the new album, West, you already mentioned it, and shame on me, but my favorite on that record is none of yours.
Okay, I have a feeling I know what you're going to say.
Exactly. Tim Henderson.
Oh my gosh, no, I'm not. I thought you were going to say another one. Oh, I love Tim Henderson.
Song is called Maria Consuelo Arroyo, and I mean, it's just an absolutely wonderful song.
Well, thank you. I've always loved that song, and
I love a lot of your songs too. Obviously, don't get me wrong, but that thing on that record just smashed me because Tim Henderson used to write so many great songs, and when I heard that one, it kind of clicked, and I had to look it up, and of course I found it in his record collection. And your version is way better than his own was, feeling-wise, I think.
Actually, I watched some YouTube of him singing the song just to get an idea, and also the Glaser brothers who recorded the song. So we all listened. Marvin and Chip produced the record, so we all listened to it to get an idea of how we want to do it. Yep. And so it's kind of like, it was a little closer to the Glaser brothers with that kind of country waltz feel.
Yeah, and also the feeling you put in is totally different. And he kind of more tells it as a story, and your story is kind of like it's coming from the heart. So,
well, thank you.
It really felt great. I don't know if you want to play it.
I want to. Well, I recorded it so I could kind of carry on. A lot of it was also reminding me of I wanted to promote the whole idea of how Austin has been an inspiration to me, and having worked with Michael Martin Murphey. Back in the 80s, and then I love his music from back when he was a beginner in his old Austin days in the 70s, including, and then again there was Tim Henderson, who was great. I don't want him to be forgotten.
True.
And then more recently, we lost Jimmy LaFave, and I wanted to make sure I carried on his music into the future as well. So I wanted to pay tribute to all those wonderful influences that I've had a chance to know all three of these beautiful songwriters, so it's great to get to record it. I'll have to admit right now that I'm not sure I could remember all the lyrics, because Tim Henderson, he was a really funny man, and he could really ramble and tell long stories like I'm doing right now. But this song has 3 different verses and 3 different choruses, so it's not like, Chip, do you happen to have them right there?
I only have the chorus. No, maybe you can play that one off the record.
Yeah, let's play that one off the record.
Yeah, let's play that at the end.
We'll make a better impression.
That sounds good.
And I want for Tim's wife, Marion, if she hears the show, to not think that I couldn't remember all the words to her husband's song.
Okay, then in that case, let's play another one.
Well, I thought you were going to ask for this song right here, because a lot of people love this song, and I'm included in that group. I chose a song, a Mexican song from the 1940s, a beautiful song that, for the great reasons of the song being a great song, is a classic among these beautiful songs from that era. So this song is called Perfidia. Nadie comprende lo que sufro yo. Canto, pues ya no puedo sollozar. Amor, si puedes tú con Dios hablar, pregúntale si yo alguna vez te he dejado de adorar. Y el mar, espejo de mi corazón, las veces que me ha visto llorar, la perfidia de tu amor. Te he buscado donde quiera que yo voy y no te puedo hallar. ¿Para qué quiero tus besos si tus labios no me quieren ya besar? Sabe por dónde andarás, quién sabe qué aventura tendrás, qué lejos estás de buscado donde quiera que yo voy y no te puedo hallar. ¿Para qué quiero tus besos si tus labios no me quieren ya besar? Thank you.
Now, you started singing as a teenager, and it took about, I think, almost a dozen years until your first record deal came through. And what made you hold on for all these years? You know, keep going, until it happened.
Yeah, until it happened, and then when it happened quite by chance. Well, actually, honestly, I did have a record deal when I was still in high school, about somewhere around 17 years old. I was offered a deal from a local Tejano. Actually, it wasn't even called Tejano yet. I think it was the first label that then became Tejano Music. So this was, it was some of those singles that we recorded 4 singles, and they were in Spanish, and it was kind of bubblegum pop music. And they were quite a hit in the border town. Mm-hmm. So we went. I did a little tour of all the radio stations along the border in Texas, and but then that record label. Actually, the guy. This is an interesting story. It's a little bit long, but I'll tell you the story because it's funny.
Okay.
This producer that owned this record company he heard me sing, and he had a song. Sorry, my throat's got something there. He had this song that. Was from a publishing company that was a Paul Simon song that his publishing company owned. And so he heard me as like being a Joan Baez singer singing that song, because it's a very passionate song, and it's in Spanish and English. And so he said, but we're not going to do that yet. Before we get to that, I want you to record these bubblegum pop singles. I'm not sure why he did that, but anyway, it ended up that we never got around to that Paul Simon song. And so I was very disappointed. And after a couple of years, it just looked like that career wasn't going anywhere. I did not want to be a Tejano singer. That wasn't what my calling felt like. I really felt like I belonged more in like country folk, genre. So anyway, years later, when we were in Austin, and we recorded the record Aquella Noche, I did record that song. It was called Carlos Dominguez. And but the record deal thing came like in a very frustrating way, because after all that bubblegum pop music that I was singing in Spanish, by then I was in my early 20s, that were going to be, and I went to go off to live in the mountains of New Mexico. So thank you, Chip. And that's when I discovered country, and that's when Michael Murphy discovered me, and that's when things kind of started moving. He introduced me to people in Nashville, and then before I knew it, finally, 10 years later, but it took a lot of knocking on doors and a lot of demos being presented to record labels, and they all said no, one after another. And then finally, one day, it was my last-ditch effort at Nashville. I just moved to Austin from New Mexico. It was 1988. Both my little kids, my daughter was a newborn, jumped in the car because I had made a date to play at the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville. And so I took my niece to help me babysit the kids, and we were kind of broke, so we just went drove all in one day, spent the night, did the show the next night, came back the next day. But there was somebody from A&M Records in the audience, and he was there to hear the other acts, not me. But that's where it all started. And then he handed me his card, said, send me some demos. I had met Marvin by that time, and Marvin and I went into the studio and did these demos of the songs that became Homeland. So that was the beginning of that.
So it's paying off if you kind of.
It's a little bit of a complicated story,
right?
but I know it bugs me when I hear stories about like, oh, this producer walked in, heard her, and here's a contract.
That's
Only in the movies.
or on one of these casting shows that the marketing guys finance.
Yeah, right.
But definitely the work and the practice and everything. That's what pays off at the end of the day. And I just sometimes wonder because there's a lot more guys like you that have really waited for years and years and years and years, and then for some it never happened. And they still keep hanging in and do it because they love the music.
That's true.
It's that simple.
But I think the thing about it taking time is really, I think I was just impatient and I wanted this thing to hurry up and happen. That if it was going to happen, I want it now. But the thing is that you develop so much more. I developed a lot more as a songwriter during those years when I was trying to be pitched as a singer. Yeah. And I was already starting to work on my songwriting and then also just performing and playing 5 or 6 nights a week and just getting all that experience was all that when we finally got the record deal, we were really ready to hit the ground and run because we really, were performing well already and I kind of had my Marvin Dykhuis here already. So I was raring to go. And then, of course, Chip joined us a little bit later, and then just kind of added to the wonderful spices of the soup here. But anyway, so it's an interesting story about songwriters and or singers and how this whole process takes quite a while.
And then you need to be lucky to find two guys that kind of hang out for 25 years and
That's right.
Get everything together and sound like a unit.
We drive the car.
Yeah.
They don't let me drive.
Okay,
these are
yeah, go ahead.
They're both Marvin and Chip are like I sit in the back seat. Just you guys do whatever you want up there.
Sleep in the back seat.
It's for everybody's benefit if we drive the car.
I'm an excellent driver.
And then usually you wake up and have no idea where you are, right?
Yeah. Well, I hope not the one driving.
Yeah.
Okay. What are we doing now?
Play another one if you like to.
Okay. Let's see. Does either one of you want to pick a song that we might do?
Oh, we just did a lot of songs.
Well, I know you. And I enjoyed that
They
show
are
very much.
tired.
How about By the Rio Grande? That's a good choice. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, of course, this song connects me to everywhere from New Mexico and down to South Texas and down to Mexico, where my parents were from. And this song is called By the Rio Grande. Canyons white and wide.
Yeah, right.
A song request.
Yeah, that's always good. Now, you play piano beside...
I could use some more water, please. And I've got my little cup, or somebody can just bring me some. Yes.
That's okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't want to waste extra cups. Thank you.
You play piano beside guitar, and in a recent interview with some kids, you mentioned that you started playing guitar because it was easier to carry around than a piano. Now, what you need is one of those Charlie Brown pianos. From
Oh, yeah, I do.
Which other instrument would you wish you could play, if anything?
Well, I just wish I could play piano better. But since Chip joined the band, I became a lot lazier. So piano's always been the love of my life, actually. When I was 4 years old, I begged my parents for piano lessons.
Oh.
And so that was the very first thing my introduction to music was piano lessons, and which I took on and off all through my school years.
How did that happen? I mean, some kids play fiddle or they play flute, or how did piano?
Well, because we had a piano for one thing. We had a piano in the house,
okay.
and my older sister
right.
that I really admired, my sister who ended up becoming singing opera, she was a wonderful piano player too. So I would sit there as probably a toddler and just look up at her in amazement and say, I want to do that when I grow up. And she was like 10. So, but I just wanted to get as early a start as possible. So I was really yanking on my mom's skirt about piano lessons.
Brainstem. You once said that Spanish songs sometimes have a deeper meaning than English songs, and that's why you love them. And why do you think that is, or where does that come from? Is it from the culture, from the history, or what is it from?
I think it's the culture. Thank you. The culture is, I think, music in Latin America or to Latinos is a very integral part of society. And the language itself, I think, is very pretty. And I think it sings well because it's very round and, simple words sound deep, And, but my feeling is just more about the feeling of emotions are conveyed very easily with the Spanish language. Mm-hmm. So it's I feel really lucky in that I grew up speaking Spanish and getting to really understand and enjoy the Mexican radio that my parents had on in the kitchen all the time. Those beautiful Spanish songs such as Perfidia or even the local music, hearing the Santiago and Flaco and the local conjunto music was always just such a hoot for me when I was a kid. I just loved all of it. Yeah.
Did it kind of inspire you to kind of mix that English and Spanish songs on all your albums? I mean, most of them have actually Spanish songs on them as well. So.
Yeah. My mom was very, very important in the fact that when I started playing guitar and singing, she was terrified because she didn't want this hippie kid going out singing at what she thought were bars. I'd say, I want to go play at a coffee house. She said, you're not going anywhere. And finally, when I was able to convince her that I could, go to coffee houses, I would always have to have chaperones, some of my older siblings and their boyfriends or whatnot. But one thing she did instill in me, which was, I guess still remains to this day, is when I'd sit and practice in the kitchen while she was cooking and, she'd like to listen to me sing, she'd always make sure that, she'd say, you have to know these Spanish songs, the Malagueña Salerosa and La Llorona and, these wonderful classics. She loved hearing those songs. So when I started singing in public, like on the Riverwalk in San Antonio, it was really beneficial to me because I could entertain quite well singing all the songs of the 70s, the Carly Simons and the Ronstadts and all that. And then being able to throw in the Spanish classics was always. So in my music, even before I was a songwriter, it was important to me. It just worked. It drew more audience in, and I really liked that. But as a songwriter, one of the interesting things that I think I see from myself is that once I moved away from Texas, moved away from my family in San Antonio, I didn't really have a need to speak Spanish very much anymore, except I'd call my mom once a week or, a couple of times a week, and she didn't speak English, so it was my chance to speak Spanish. But after my mom passed away in 1985, I didn't really have a connection to speaking the language anymore. I lived in Nashville and in places where I didn't really have to converse all the time. And so I think in my songwriting, it became something that I really wanted to pass on to my kids, and I really wanted to keep that thing alive in my brain of thinking in Spanish.
And it worked too.
And it worked. It worked. It worked on like. How about we sing this? Can we do the song now?
Sure,
Because
absolutely.
this was the first song that I really did bilingual. Who Showed You the Way to My Heart?
All right.
Yeah, this was on the record Homeland. Tell me, how did you know just where to find me? I thought I left love far behind me, so who showed you the way to my heart? Some say love comes and goes and it's a fool's play, but something tells me that you're here to stay. Who showed you the way to my heart? What was it I didn't see? Who showed you how to believe? I couldn't say where I'd been. You taught me living again. I know love finds a place to grow and then waits for those who take it slow. But even so, who showed you the way to my heart? Vida, tú eres mi hogar, mi senda. Quisiste caminar, siempre serás el fuego en mi corazón. Antes que te conocí, yo el amor despedí. ¿Cómo fuiste a encontrar mi alma en la oscuridad? Tell me, how did you know just where to find me? I thought I left love far behind me, so who showed you the way to my heart? El camino a mi corazón. Who showed you the way to my heart? Thank you.
Your songs kind of inspire questions that aren't even written here, so here's one.
Okay.
We all know that the conjunto or Tex-Mex actually includes a lot of the polka style and that way. And then you also lived 10 years in Germany. So when can we hear the first German polka song on one of your albums?
Oh my gosh, I had not thought about that.
Be
I can-
careful what you ask for.
Well, we'll do something like, I do know a little bit of a German song that I learned while whilst living in my German years. I lived in Hamburg, in the neighborhood called St. Pauli, St. Pauli. And
Famous
it's-
red light district,
Oh,
by the way.
famous 24-hour neighborhood, yeah. So there's a classic song that represents St. Pauli because
wow.
one of Germany's most famous actors and entertainers, whose name just flew out of my
I forgot the
Hans.
name. Something. Yeah.
I-
I know what you
it'll
mean.
come to me in a
I know
minute.
what you mean.
So I used to just throw this one out there when I lived there because everybody liked to sing along, so they all knew it. Hans Albers. There you go, Hans
That's it.
Albers. So this is called Das Herz von St. Pauli,
Yeah.
the heart of St. Pauli. something like, y'all can just join me anywhere. Das Herz von St. Pauli, das ist meine Heimat in Hamburg, da bin ich zu Haus. Der Hafen, die Lichter, die Sehnsucht begleiten das Schiff in die Ferne hinaus. Das Herz von St. Pauli, das ruft mich zurück, denn dort an der Elbe, da wartet mein Glück. Das Herz von St. Pauli, das ist meine Heimat in Hamburg, da bin ich zu Hause. You wanna play a little? There's your German polka. Das Herz von St. Pauli, das bin meine Heimat in Hamburg, da bin ich zu Haus. Der Hafen, die Lichter, die Sehnsucht begleiten das Schiff in die Ferne hinaus. Das Herz von St. Pauli, das ruft mich zurück, denn dort an der Elbe, da wartet mein Glück. Das Herz von St. Pauli, das ist meine Heimat in Hamburg, da bin ich zu Haus. In Hamburg, da bin ich zu Haus. We need our beer steins.
Somebody gave me a beer.
Now you need a round of schnapps after that.
Yeah, little beer and little schnapps.
The song you probably wouldn't have heard if we wouldn't have come across that question, and then it's kind of
Here we are.
inspiring.
For the record, I have never heard that song before. In
I
my
believe
life.
you. That guy, by the way, wrote a lot of sailor songs back in the 30s and way back when.
Yes.
And
There's a statue of
Yeah.
Hans Albers right in the middle of the
he was kind of
the
an
square in
icon
Hamburg.
of Hamburg, so
Yes.
pretty cool.
I also loved it there because of the Beatles.
Yeah,
And
of course.
of
yeah.
course, all the history of them. That amazing how just lots of little nooks and crannies of the neighborhood are still there. Like the Indra Club is still
Yep.
there, and the Star Club is still there. And then there's that little theater where they lived upstairs.
Back in
1961, I think
2,
61.
something like that. Yeah.
A little bar where Paul McCartney finally went back after
Oh, that's right.
30 years and paid his bill. Or
That's right.
whatever.
We went there. Marv went there with me. Yeah.
This big picture of Paul there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He went. He
Yeah,
back.
he
He
wanted
went back
money.
and he went back and paid the tab.
Yeah, he went back and paid his tab after 30 years.
Yeah, really. Yeah, with tax. Anyway.
So what made you decide to get back? I mean, after 10 years in Europe, to come back to Austin? Is it just
Well,
personal decisions, or?
like Eliza Gilkison says, when somewhere's ready to get rid of you, it just kind of spits you out. She said that about New Mexico. She said, when New Mexico's ready for you to leave, it just kind of spits you out.
Yeah.
But I mean, I had wonderful years there, but I was, my home circumstances, my relationship was.
Change, yeah.
Well, that's the reason I was there, and if that wasn't going to be working right,
Right.
it was better for me to be in Austin, where I could be
glad you
be
came back.
productive and be happy. And not that I wasn't happy there. I still have wonderful friends from that era and musical friends that I made, and a lot of adventures. But really, Austin was the place where I really belonged.
Definitely glad you came back. I think that was back in 2003 or something.
It
right?
was 2004. I was gone, and back in 2013.
13, yeah.
So.
All right. Now
Yes, I'm
Yeah,
happy.
definitely.
I feel home. One thing I did miss a lot from when I was over there was the friendliness just on the streets. In Austin, you're waiting for an elevator or a bus stop, and wherever you are, people start conversations and you just talk, and everybody wants to know where everybody's from or da, da, da. And I noticed that maybe it's because it's northern Germany, I'm not sure, but
they're more open.
Hamburg is a little bit more,
little
closed,
more tight.
a little more tight, and but apart from that, and it was when I'd spend months there at a time, I really missed the friendly thing. When I'd be walking around town by myself, I'd say, I want some friendly people. I miss my Texas.
Now with West, your current album, you're approaching the 20 album mark, I think, pretty much.
We're getting close. We're getting
And
close.
Getting close, and that's since you released Homeland back in '89.
Yes.
Now, do you ever think about? Now, actually, the question has been answered by these two guys before the last session, because they said they're only stop playing when they fall off dead off the stage. So I wanted to ask you whether you ever have plans on retiring. But since these guys keep going and you play with them since 25 and more years, you'll probably keep playing as well. Right?
Yeah, I'm going to get a T-shirt that says, "When Marvin quits, I'll quit."
Oh, there you go.
Whoa.
Whoa. Yeah, that's why your T-shirt says basement, right?
Yeah.
That's a club in Sydney.
So yeah, it's
So no plans at
Well,
all. Just keep going.
no, but it is important if you're going to do it, keep doing it, because I mean, even myself, if I haven't played like in a month or so, or like I get really rusty, and I, as Marvin and Chip well know, that sometimes I have to remind me of what my lyrics are, or something like that. Yes.
Do you skip, I'm going to say a month or something, do you get the itch to start back? You just have that draw that you've got to get back in that
Oh yeah.
mood or that aurora of music around you?
Well, yeah, there's a whole energy thing that happens. I mean, sometimes, let's say we'd go to Europe together, on a tour, and, it's really important to work a lot because, days off in Europe are expensive, especially if you have a band on the road. And so, sometimes we'll play like, 24 out of 28 days or something like that. You get really tired of the road at that point. And then you really want some rest. But if you're in a rest mode for too long, it's just I get restless for the road. Is what it is after if I'm just home for a few weeks,
Get back out there.
kind of ready to hit the road again. So yeah, it's it's kind of like the Willie Nelson song.
Yeah.
It's important to hit the road.
Let's hit the road with another song. I think.
Let's hit the road. Let's hit the road again. But yeah, that's that's. Any questions?
Yeah, he said he wants to.
He wants you to play a song now.
Yeah.
Oh, as in a.
You said hit
So-
the
Since
road
it's been
again,
so long, we should play
let's do
another
a
one.
song.
So Bruno, did we talk
keep
about
feeling
that
rusty over
we
here.
we've re-recorded Homeland? We're going to have My Homeland's coming out in
Right.
a couple of more months,
Okay.
because the record went out of print maybe about 15 years ago, and it was really sad for me because I play a lot live and people like buying CDs, and I had no CDs to sell, but these are the songs that I sing a lot, so it was just always kind of confusing. Well, here I'm going to play you some songs, but you can't find them, So we just took the band, some of the original musicians, the same studio, same engineer, and we re-recorded the whole.
Did you
record.
re-record or remaster?
We re-recorded
Re-recorded?
a whole new Homeland.
Great.
It's called My Homeland, and
Nice.
and I own this one, which is a lot better for me.
Yeah, right.
And Marv, Chip, and Paul Piercy on drums, and it was really so much fun to go back and redo. I mean, we stayed very, very dear to like the heart of the record, but I mean, there's a few little places where we thought, oh, this is a little improvement maybe.
When is it coming? Summertime or fall?
It'll be out by
or-
the summertime.
Summertime.
Yes.
Cool.
So be looking for it.
Yeah, especially if you haven't heard or haven't owned old Homeland,
Old
then
Homeland.
definitely go ahead and do that. Yeah.
Yes. So maybe
Same
let's-
songs, no extras, no.
No, we have
additional-
bonus track. Marv and I wrote a bonus track for this record. It's a nice little
Cool.
Mexican waltz.
Oh,
Yes.
Really nice.
So we'll have to learn how to play that one live.
Yeah, we're gonna have to learn that one.
So anyway, just want to make that little announcement because we're real
no, that's
excited
good.
about that.
That's great. No, I
Yes.
didn't know that.
Yes.
Actually, haven't.
And right now, we have a pre-order on my website, which is mundotish.com.
Okay.
And go visit, pre-order it, and we hope to have them out within the next couple of months.
That would be great.
Yes.
All right. Look forward to play those things on
Well,
the
thank
radio.
you. So how about, Who Showed You the Way to My Heart was from Homeland. And how about we play Rancherita?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I think we're going to go for
That's a
the
good
Tex-Mex.
one. So he has got to get up again. So.
Tex-Mex rock.
He's getting tired.
No, this one's going to be loud. Just be
Yeah,
careful.
just
Has to
warning to the engineer.
Be, has to
Warning
be.
today.
And I always say
guys ready?
Chip plays his best flocka licks on this
Yeah.
song.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank mis sueños. Ahí te va mi corazón. Serenata de un ranchero enamorado, con guitarra cantarán su pasión. Rancherita, a tu puerta ven y mira, con ojitos de mis sueños. Ahí te va mi corazón, con ojitos de mis sueños. Ahí te va mi Gracias.
All right. Cheap Flaquito, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, that's right.
Pretty cool.
He's our, yes, he's the bargain man. I know Flacco very well.
Now, you played Kerwell, as you mentioned, and earlier even than Liza Gilkison back in, I think, 1981 or 2 when she came to town. All other events all across Europe, all over the world, actually. Is there any favorite place that you think you would play one day? Favorite city, town, country?
Like I said,
whatever?
somewhere I have not played.
Yeah, somewhere you like to play, but you never did.
Well, I haven't. I have not played in Mexico, which seems very rare.
Wow, yeah, that's rare.
I'd love to play Mexico City. I would love to, find clubs that have my kind of music or would present. When I was tried to be sold to Mexico, when I was on one of the major labels on Warner Brothers, they tried to pitch me to Warner Mexico. And I think because I wasn't completely country and certainly not salsa and certainly not, there's a lot of things I didn't fit into. They couldn't quite fit my eclecticism into what they thought would be radio. I don't think they have radio programming for somebody like me. Oh. So the record label just said no. But anyway, I know it's kind of sad. I travel to Mexico a lot. I love going there. But I don't get to play except for, my family or relatives and houses.
There must be a lot of clubs down there that actually play that stuff, right?
I don't know.
No?
I don't know where they are. I don't know. I know Joe King Carrasco owns a club in Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
And, he says if I ever want to go play at his club, I can go there. So y'all want to go to Puerto Vallarta?
Yeah, sure.
I do.
Let's all go. We have quite the party going here.
You just got to do what everybody does these days in the music business: put together a cruise and
That's
have a stopover of 2 or 3 days.
Oh my
down
gosh,
there.
you're right. That's a good idea.
Call Joe and he makes it work. So.
There you go. That sounds like
Everybody
fun.
does cruises these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you watch the news with all these cruise ships, like the recent
Well,
one in
I know.
Norway, and then I say no, don't do that. All right, any questions from you guys before we play another one? Get to the last question and then.
Audience. So was it Bruno? No. Richard and I were talking about children, or were you and I talking about doing children's shows? Like when I do children's shows, and I still do a lot of children's stuff. I had that record Cada Niño came out in 1995, and so I still do a lot of stuff with elementary schools. And the 3 questions that I will play these songs to them, and the kids are all enthusiastic. Little tiny ones to the bigger ones, and so I say, okay, now kids, do y'all have any questions, for me? They all raise their hand. One of them wants to tell me that they have a dog. My brother plays guitar. No, but besides those, the 3 questions are you rich? Are you famous? And are you married? That's all the kids really want to know. They're like not interested in the music. But yeah, so
Absolutely. Yeah, these, by the way, if you look up these, some of these shows are on YouTube, and if you look them up, it's really funny how these kids, even the interviewers are kids, so they ask all kind of funny stuff. It's really cool. It's really cool. And I admire you how you keep your cool, because I will probably break out laughing at some of that stuff. But
well, sometimes
really
I do.
good.
Sometimes I do. Yeah, no, it's very sweet. But anyway, any audience?
When
No.
you write songs, do you think about what Marvin's going to do or what Chip's going to do, or do you just let them?
Actually, you know what? That's an interesting
one, yeah.
point of songwriting. My songs when I play them, when I first write them into a recorder, on my phone or wherever, they're pretty raw. Pretty much just a melody or the verse, the chorus, and then I let Marvin and or Chip, whoever wants to take a take at arrangement, like adding something to it, which is always wonderful. The dynamic of even like a chord progression will go or something that really will add a really nice dimension to the song. So I'm lucky. I'm lucky in that I have two wonderful producers that are.
But your
Producer
songs,
Gin and Tonic.
I know.
but a lot of your songs are not complex, and you write a lot of that stuff.
Yeah,
Okay, some of it.
I have to give you back some of the credit. you're giving me.
absolutely.
Thank you. So
She writes them. I don't think she. Yeah.
I like Marvin's joke about the producer.
Suppose you produced me a gin and tonic. That's actually a true story. We know the guy who actually was the producer. And it was a famous blues guy, and a young producer, record label guy, brought the guy into the studio. He'd been there like 2 days working, and so he was sitting in the control room. The young producer and the blues musician came in and sat down on the couch next to him and said, "So you're the producer, right?" He goes, "Yes, sir. Yes, I am." He goes, "Suppose you produce me a gin and tonic." True story.
That's a classic. I love it.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I have been Karen and I have been coming to the series for 3 or 4 months. It continues to amaze me, and I had the mentality or the thinking that, golly, you just write these songs and over a over a 6-pack or something like this, like we tried to do back in college, and it just becomes aware to me within the last couple of shows how detailed, how emotional you guys become involved with these songs, and the longevity, like Danny mentioned, 35 years writing one song. That continues to amaze me as to your longevity, not in life, which may not be there, but anyway, it just the love of the music versus anything else. You just selected that over IBM or Dell or something like that. It just
Well, it kind of picked us. Is what
well, I mean,
music kind of picks you.
Yeah.
I also think that like Marvin said something before. The songs, like Tish doesn't write a lot of trite songs. I mean, a lot of them obviously mean something to her, or they're stories that have something. So you can hear the words a lot of times and not get sick of them. I'm not that. Twist and Shout is a great fun dance song, but if you really think deep about the song, you go, it's a fun dance song. You don't want to. It doesn't touch my life that way. But some of the lyrics and the stuff we try to write, I don't know if that's how you get.
Oh, thanks.
And Tish has always been a wonderful. I've been with her for like 30 years, and I've always been impressed with her writing. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, there is some cool stuff going
What were you
on.
going to ask?
So when I listen to a lot of the songs, I'm just amazed at how poetic so many songs are. So just answer this for me. Do you sit there with a thesaurus and a dictionary and a history book? How do you get the right word? I mean, do you have to research in your head, or do you just think about it for several days and it works out?
I think
I'm
it's
just always amazed.
yeah. It amazes me too. It's to me it's a weird kind of channeling of some kind because I never think like how did I write that? Like it's a
where did that come
we
from?
do yeah. And like when I wrote the songs for West, it was actually kind of one of those experiences. There's been a few records in my past that kind of wrote themselves really quickly, and I'd been kind of in a dry spell of not writing and all these other things going on. And then just within 2 or 3 days, I thought of, I woke up thinking of, like, hey, here's an idea. Oh, here's another idea. Here's another one. And then it just kind of, I'm not sure if it's the stars align in the right way or what it is. But then I go, look, hey, I just wrote about 4 or 5 really good songs. I like them. So.
But you also tweak them and rewrite them. I mean,
I think
you just plop out
constantly.
plop out the basic thing. When you look at the beginning of the song, it's always interesting to me to go back and look at what the song started out to be, and then little by little, it's kind of architecture or something, whatever it is. You start saying, oh, here's the basic thing, but this will go there. Here's some better words.
Yeah, and it's work too. It's actually it's work.
It's nerve wracking.
You have to put a lot of thought into it, and you have to think about it and rethink it and come back.
And then you have to go out.
Sometimes they just fall from the sky, but a lot of times they don't.
Yeah, and it's a nerve wracking thing because it's like on the tip of your tongue. It's like this little idea is right there, and like I can't get it. So that's when you have to like kind of take a little break. Like okay, putting it aside for a little while.
I wrote a song that was kind of started out as an Irish drinking song, and the first verse sounds like that, and I played it for Tish. Well, it's fine. But my verses were kind of lovely and glamorous. But the chorus was very nice. But the verses were not such a big deal. And I played it for Tish, and she wrote verses that took it to a whole nother level. And we sing it. We've sung it at weddings and funerals. And
We're probably just going to hear that.
Well, I think we should. Do we have time for?
Oh, yeah,
one more
absolutely.
song?
I still have the last question after that song, and then we have another song. But I want to thank Merle, because thanks to him, I know that I'm a 50% songwriter. I never wrote the song, but I drank a lot of six-packs.
There you go. Think of all those songs that you've helped write.
Yeah, right. All right, let's do that one then.
Yeah, let's play it.
Do you do it in C?
C.
Okay. So I'll sing you the first verse.
Okay.
And then I'll stop and we'll do the song as Tish changed.
Okay.
Can I get a drink?
Produce me a gin and tonic.
You can count on the weather. You can count on the time. If you count on your whiskey, then you can't trust the wine. If we don't count our blessings, we're wasting the time. Roll-y-o, roll-y-ay, roll-y-ay.
Here's a song for the journey as we draw near the line, though our hearts bear a tear as we wave our goodbyes. May the clouds part before you, may the stars kiss your eyes. Roll-y-o, roll-y-ay, roll-y-ay. There are days made for wonder and laughter and wine. May your dreams take you places through rivers that wind. If we don't count our blessings, we're wasting our time. Here's a song for the journey tonight. Heaven knows where the road falls before me.
angels, oh, those left behind. When I think of the treasures and the pleasures we find, there are many, and many were mine. There are days made for wonder and laughter and wine. May your dreams take you places through rivers that wind. If we don't count our blessings, we're wasting our time. Here's a song for the journey tonight. Heaven knows where the road falls before me. May the angels hold those left behind. When I think of the treasures and the pleasures we find, there are many, and many were mine. Heaven knows where the road falls before me. May the angels hold those left behind. If we don't count our blessings, we're wasting our time. Here's a song for the journey tonight. Thank you.
She took it up about 11 notches.
Yeah, you know, I think the drinking part's not bad. I
I
just thought the song deserved a little better than that. Come on.
after the whiskey. All right, now I hope you were asleep when we did the show with these guys, because now the last question you already know it probably. What would you ask yourself in an interview that I did not?
Actually, I thought about that when
That's
you
what
asked them.
that's what I was afraid
but
of.
I didn't come up with a question. Oh, like what question would I ask myself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you have a question?
No, I was just saying that you wanted to share with the world.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think that I'm not sure how I would put the question, but where would I have thought I would have gone? Like if I had taken all some record deals that I had been promised and then never got, or that I turned down. Because it always compels me that question, because back in 1988, 89, I was when finally, and it's like when it rains it pours, I had no record deals, and then I got two simultaneously from two different record companies, and they were kind of bidding for me, which was odd. But one of them wanted me as a singer. They didn't want my songs. And then one record label wanted me as a singer-songwriter. And the people at the record label that offered me the singer one, where they were a pretty big machine, and I probably would have pretty much shot up as a star, because that's the kind of producer. It was Harold Shedd who produced Alabama, and the record label was Polygram. And I know it would have changed my life, and it would have, but it would have changed the direction of my music a lot too, because they would have chosen the songs for
For
me.
you. Yeah.
And they would have had the Nashville songwriting machines write the songs, so no doubt I would have had big country hits. But
Yep.
I don't know. It's like I always wonder what would have happened if I had gone that road instead of the one I took.
That is, by the way, the reason that a lot of the guys came back to Texas, like Pat Green, Randy Rogers, Babe Bowen. They all experienced the same thing. You know, they tried to put you in a direction which isn't you, and then they put that marketing machinery on you and those songwriting
Well,
materials on you.
I kind of imagine like 20 years, later, I'd be having to sing these hit songs that I never really liked in the first place or something. Like I'd be playing rodeos or casinos or something like that. I'm going, oh. Yeah, or Branson, Missouri. Not to put any of that down. I mean, that's a genre and people love that. But that's, it's like, so yeah, that's always been my question is, ooh, what would that road have been like? Yeah.
Is any part of you regret not taking that?
Well, only when I'm broke. When I'm broke, I'm going, darn, I should have taken that deal.
That's why my answer was, well, you get that, go ahead and write that hit, and then you can write the songs that you
right.
make you learn it. But it's a gamble either way.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's a
Yeah.
gamble either way.
Oh, absolutely. All right, let's play
thank you
one
all.
last before we go offline, and then maybe you'll still have some time for the Tim Henderson song. After we
We'll
go off.
have to come back for that one.
We'll have to come back for that.
Yeah, let's play a final song.
And you're right. I do need to. I actually need to put it in my brain. I learned it for the studio and the recording. That I only sing it once in a while, and not enough to. Yeah, it's a beautiful song.
Buy the
Beautiful
album,
song. I
listen
love
to
that
the
song.
song. It's
Okay.
really cool.
Which way are we going here?
Live on a Mission Bell.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes, here's one of the songs on the new record on West. This is a song inspired by my beautiful hometown of San Antonio and the beautiful mission churches that surround the city. So this is called Church of the Mission Bell.
2, 3, 4, 1, 2.
Church of the Mission Bell. I know your song so well. I lit a candle underneath your spell. Church of the Mission Bell. Church of the Mission Bell. Your altar is where we knelt. Never before had heaven felt so real. Church of the Mission Bell. Gold paints your garden angel wings. Dusk lights your garden wall. Stars rising high above the Virgin's veil. Church of the Mission Bell. Church of the Mission Bell. Only my heart can tell. Never before had heaven felt so real. Church of the Mission Bell. Gold paints your garden angel wings. Dusk lights your garden wall. Stars rising you.
Thank you guys so much.
Well, thank you, Bruno.
That was
Thanks so
really
much.
cool.
Everybody.
Thank
Thank
you,
you very much.
everybody.
Fun.
Thank y'all for
Thanks.
hanging out and listening. And thank you, Danny, Britt, for a wonderful first set with Marvin, Chip, and the Grouchy guys.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
Great group of kids to follow.
That's
Go
right.
with you.
That's right.
Now that everybody knows how to become a songwriter, get a six-pack and then let the rest inspire you.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think I'm going to try that.